Hey everybody, coming to you live from my backyard with my cat, hanging with us for this live tonight. But I am coming to you to tell a little story, an anecdote from family life, and it's about the value of a dollar. And so, if you are tuning in while this is live, please like, comment, and share. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're tuning in afterwards, please do the same. And we'll jump right in. Hey, Richard, thanks for tuning in tonight. If I yelp, it's because our outdoor cat clawed me. Anyway, all right, so today I got home from a trip, and one of my kiddos has been doing some work this week for a friend, and has been going to their house and doing yard work, doing some pretty heavy duty yard work from what I gather, a fair amount of shoveling maybe dirt and raking leaves, and has been coming home tired and wanting to take a nap, which is unusual in usual daily life for this kid. And but they're paying this child very nicely, and so it's a win-win on both sides. They've got a hard worker doing yard work and cleaning things up for the spring, and he's making decent money on spring vacation. And that being said, today came home and was saying that this item that he's been wanting for a long time and been talking about, and we've been going back and forth, no longer wants this item because we'd said you'd have to save up. It's your responsibility. And suddenly this expensive item is looking too expensive. And I quote, "I shoveled dirt for 3 days and no longer wants said item." And, it's one thing to want something if you're going to be given it, or, somebody else is paying for it. But it's another thing entirely to want to save up for something that is expensive. And when you see what it takes, what that labor takes, suddenly that item is less appealing. And that's what's happened here. And so it's been interesting to see this shift, basically saying, well, it's not worth it. It's this hard work is hard work, and I don't want to waste my money. Happy to waste my money. John and I, if we were willing to pay for it, we're not. And so, so now though, as this kiddo gets closer and closer to actually having the funds that would pay for this thing, is like, yeah, I don't think so. It's taking too much hard work to save up for it. So really learning the value of a dollar, which is such a valuable lesson. And I'm so thankful that they have the opportunity to do so. But it just brings to mind, this is the cat, guys, for anybody tuning in midway through. It just brings to mind, Augusta or DC or anywhere where government is deciding what to spend money on. It's one thing to spend money when it's someone else's money. And it's another, it's maybe easier to spend somebody else's money if you don't have to be accountable for it. But it's another thing entirely to spend your own money when it's taken a lot of hard work and saving and time. And you see how valuable your time is when it takes real effort, hard work, grit, determination to save those funds. And it just, the lack of accountability and understanding of what a dollar is worth in Augusta has led to where we are. We have this millionaire tax that was passed this year. And it's interesting, I see people online saying, good, they deserve it. It should be more equitable. The money should be spread around. And okay, what entitles one person to take something from another person? And why? So please answer that in the comments. If you are a fan of the millionaire tax, please explain to me how you think that someone or some entity, government, should be entitled to someone else's money just because it's more money. just because someone has more, why is the government more entitled to that money? Why are they entitled to someone's $1 million more than they are someone's $20? I would say they're not entitled to either, but we've come to this place as a civil society where we agree on some level of taxation. I do not agree with a millionaire's tax, with inequitable taxes, with carve-outs, with all kinds of things. But what compass is driving to say a millionaire's tax is acceptable? I digress. Back to the main conversation and the value of $1. Augusta has completely lost sight of the value of $1 because it has gotten used to just demanding more. And if you can just demand more and then spend it, and you haven't run out yet, then you lose sight of the value of $1. And when there are no checks and balances, we've had a Democrat trifecta for the last 8 years, right? Democrat House, Senate, and Governor. There's no one giving checks and balances to this spending. And so that's how you get from a $7 billion budget to a $12 billion budget. And then have to demand more because your appetite has exceeded what you're bringing in. And so then the next logical conclusion is, of course, demanding more, raising taxes, passing a millionaire's tax, instead of saying, hold on, these dollars are valuable dollars. These are dollars that have been someone else's hard work, because the government doesn't work, doesn't produce, doesn't have any means of making money except for taking it from someone else. And so there's no one in that trifecta that's going, hang on, it took us a lot of time and effort to make this money, and so we better be careful how we spend it. And so I'm so thankful to hear out of the mouths of my children to say, hang on, it took a lot of time, effort, and energy to earn this money. Maybe I better slow my roll on spending it on this expensive thing I thought I wanted. Because I can't just, this child cannot just demand more money from his mom and dad. We're not going to just give it to him. And so I'm glad to see him learning the value of hard work and the value of $1. And I wish that our majority party in Augusta had learned the value of $1. But when it's someone else's dollar, it's a lot easier to spend. Unless you are intentional and conscious of the fact that it is someone else's dollar, we are not entitled to it. I hear Troy Jackson talking about how this 2% millionaire tax was not enough. And if he's elected governor, it's going to be a 4% millionaire tax because by gum, they owe it. They owe it to who? Who owes who? The government is owed nothing, earns nothing, demands a lot, and should slow down and understand the work and the time that has gone into these dollars that are demanded by the government and stop spending so much money. That is the long and the short. And I'm glad that my kids have figured that out, or at least one of them is telling me they've figured it out at this point. Because then we did start talking about government a little bit. I couldn't help myself. This child is learning the value of $1, so we merged into government and taxes, and I'll tell you, I think this kid is going to be a conservative for life as they are learning the value of $1 and the value of hard work. And that, you don't just spend it willy-nilly. You carefully consider, you save, conserve, and that's a good lesson to learn. If only the folks in Augusta, in power, would learn that same lesson. But unfortunately, they have not. So, long and short there, they need to be replaced. That's what I got for you tonight. Story about my kid learning the value of $1, the value of an idea. Yeah, Donald. The value of an idea, the value of creativity, hard work, and entrepreneurship. This is a kid that always has some interesting and unique ways to earn a buck. He's learning how valuable those bucks are. All right, I'll talk to you guys again later. Thanks for tuning in tonight. If you think that Maine could stand to learn, have a reminder about the value of $1 and value of work ethic, share, like this video, and comment below and let me know your thoughts and what you think. If you think Augusta knows the value of $1 or not, share your thoughts. Thanks, guys.